everybody, it's your old pal Steve Moore here, owner of RUNMOORE, this fabulous brick and mortar running shop located in Westminster, Maryland. We have a new shoe today from Altra we're talking about. It's the new FWD Via. This shoe is coming out in October of 24, and this is a 4mm drop shoe from Altra. Before we get too far into it, let's dive into some of the nitty-gritty specs on the new FWD Via. This is a $160 shoe, and on the men's side it weighs 9.6 ounces, and on the women's it's 8.2. This has a 37mm stack height, dropping down to 33mm. The upper is made of an engineered spacer mesh, and the midsole is Altra's brand new Ego Flow, which is a supercritical midsole, and the outsole is a returned rocker-shaped geometry. So, let's dive into it because there's a lot to get into because this is a very different shoe from Altra in a lot of ways. First, this is a 4mm shoe, which is very different from the previous Via. You know, we had gone from a Via to a Via 2, and then they dropped the numbers and went to a FWD Via. And if you've been following the brand, that forward is what they're using to separate the normal 0 drop stuff to the 4mm drop stuff. And you know, if you've been an Altra fan for a long time, you've known they were 0 for a long time. It wasn't until last October that they started introducing a line that had a 4mm drop. And as far as people who have been ride or die with Altra, there was a lot of like, I hate it, I love it, I hate it, I wish they wouldn't change it, I'm glad they changed it. I will say selfishly, I'm somebody who has enjoyed the 4mm drop stuff. I have had mixed success with Altra on the 0 drop on the road. Some stuff I love, some stuff hasn't quite worked for me. On the trail, I'm always super happy on the 0 drop, but every once in a while, I just prefer a little bit of a heel drop. The FWD experience, which was their very first 4mm shoe, really worked for me. It was fun, it was flowy, it was light, all the things that I was sort of looking for. And along the lines, they've added a couple other options. They added a stability line called the Form and a trail called the Wild. And so now this is a brand new 4mm drop for them called the Via that has a whole different midsole, a whole different fit and feel to it. One of the big differences between some of the older 4mm drop stuff like the Flow and the new one is a new and improved midsole. This is a much bouncier. This is a super critical midsole that has a lighter, flowier, and more responsive midsole. Also, this shoe has a much more wider vibe to it than some of the other stuff in the new Experience line. So if you're somebody who does need like a true wide shoe, this is where you're gonna wanna end up. And I will say, one of the things that always has been like hit or miss with me with Altra when it comes to the width is the width. You know, it's a shoe that is rounded, foot-shaped toe box as all of the Altra shoes are, but like not all foot-shaped toe box are the same. And like specifically for me, who's got bunion issues and all kinds of width issues, like it would seem like such a natural fitting shoe for me that it would make all of my feet happy. All the runs would be good. All the shoes would fit my feet because I just need it. But it's just not the case. I think for me sometimes it's where the lacing are that it kind of hits me funny. You know, I find some shoes hit me right in like my foot knuckle, or you know, some people refer to as a funkle. I think that's the medical term, right in the funkle. And it would bug me and it would irk me. And when I first put the new FWD Via on, I was like, well, same old thing, right where it doesn't like to feel it. I can feel it immediately. But as soon as I walked around, it loosened up. And as soon as I ran, didn't think about it again. So before I go ahead of myself, I would say if you're somebody who has felt that way with some of the Altra shoes, that you felt like it was gonna hit you, just give it a chance. Give it a chance. It will loosen up much more than you think, and it didn't cause me any problems whatsoever on it. Now, sort of how it felt out on the road. If you're somebody who's been in a Via, whether it was the Via 1 or the Via 2, I had found that it was just sort of clunky. I mean, I don't know what a nicer way to say it. It was sort of meant to be that almost recovery shoe, that big cushion, go out there and run long. You know, I call these sort of plotters, something you can wear all day long, and especially with, you know, with the width and volume that they were going for on the Via, it was something that could be your long distance shoe. I just found that it was sort of heavy, and like the flatness of it for me, I could really hear myself when I was running in a Via. But now the new Via, the FWD Via, is way lighter. I mean, we've shaved off like 2 ounces, and you can feel it immediately how much more light and fluffy this shoe is, especially if you're doing what I like to do, is put an old one on one foot and a new one on the other. I mean, really, you can just feel so much more snappiness in this shoe. When I got it on the road and put it through its paces, I was really happy. And again, I didn't necessarily love the old Vias, but I've been trying a ton of shoes lately, and I've been doing a lot of high mileage stuff lately. I felt so smooth and efficient in this shoe. And in fact, this past week when I was trying some new shoes out, I tried 3 other models from different brands that were sort of categorized very similar to this shoe, from big manufacturers out on the walls that we carry here. And I would say I actually like this the best. And when in my head, when I was going through the shoes before I put them on about the things that I like in shoes and where I thought they would be, I ended up totally like flipping it and reversing it. And I ended up feeling that this was the one for me that gave me that nice, happy feeling. To the point where even on dead legs, I actually ended up adding some miles because I was just content. And you know, if you've been doing some runs and you're trying to like get a big weekly mileage, sometimes if you're feeling good, you just kind of snatch extra miles where you can instead of backloading in the week. So I ended up adding on to my run unplanned because I just felt so nice and happy and comfortable in this shoe. Not only that, I've actually doing what I don't like to do, which is walking around in it. Usually, you know, my running shoes, when they're retired, they become that daily walker, but it's made my foot happy, and I've enjoyed the experience of the Experience Via, the Forward Experience, the Via, I already botched what the name is called. But I found this shoe worked so well for my foot that I didn't just want to kind of make it my runner. It kind of became like a daily walk around for me shoe as well. I think there's going to be some people that still hear this and say the 4mm drop is too much of a deterrent to try it. And you know, one of the things that I think that's kind of cool about what we do here is we have a different perspective because we sell a bunch of different shoes and we carry so many different Altra shoes. What we've noticed going back through some of our sales numbers here is that online, most people seem to be much more on the zero drop Altra stuff. You know, we still sell more Paradigms and Escalantes and, you know, Lone Peaks because that's what people are accustomed to. And when people are online shopping that have been ride or die with Altra, they know Altra and they say, you know, that's what I want. I want that vibe. But people that maybe not used to Altras, or maybe people who are just more fun and maybe more willing to give stuff a try, in store, we have done way more business than we ever expected on the drop shoes from Altra. You know, the Flow, the Form, the Wild have done very well to their counterpoints, even on the Altra line and the zero drop. So it seems to be that maybe the gamble that Altra made by putting some shoes with a drop, while there was some people that felt semi-alienated by it or just sort of like, you changed so much, most people that have given it an actual try have been pleasantly surprised. And now I've tried the Forward Experience, the Flow, the Form, the Wild. I've tried now all of them, including the new Via. All of them, I think they've done a great job of making sure that they're kind of keeping the old people happy and bringing a whole new audience into Altra. So I would say really nice overall update to this shoe. We don't know necessarily what's going to happen to the Via. You know, that's one thing we've noticed in the last couple months with Altra is some models that we thought were kind of going away have had a second life online with Altra. So it wouldn't shock me, I don't really know for sure, if we end up seeing a Via 3 down the road that's only available online for people that still wanted a shoe like this, or they're just going to continue making Via 2s for a long period of time for people that just wanted a similar vibe, but they wanted to stay in a true zero drop. But again, when you're holding the two, if you're walking around the two, it's hard not to gravitate towards the new Via because it just feels so much lighter in hand. And honestly, the midsole is so much more bouncy than I've been accustomed to on an old model Via. The only real negatives that we were finding on this shoe, and it wasn't necessarily for me, but other people that have had a chance to put some miles in it, might not be quite as breathable as the old model. Even though the shoe is lighter, it might just hold moisture and pinch more than what we've seen on the previous model. But you know, take that out of the equation, and for most everything else on the shoe, even the new lacing on it, seems to be an improvement from the versions before. So really, I think this is going to be a fun shoe that we're going to see a lot of movement in store. We're going to see people walking around in, and you're probably going to see people this fall in marathons running in this shoe, or at least putting a lot of their heavy mileage training in the new Via. So there you have it, the new Forward Via coming out October of 2024. If you have any questions on the Via, feel free to leave them down below. We'll do our best to get back to you in a very timely manner. And if you find yourself in the greater Westminster area, stop on by and say hello. Also, if you found this fun, engaging, and exciting, do me a solid, like and subscribe to our channel. It's a fun, free, easy way to support us and the greater running community. Hey, and if you want to purchase this fine shoe, put in promo code RUNMOORE at checkout and you'll save 10%. Happy running, all that good jazz, and hopefully we'll see you around Westminster.